Narcissism is a term often thrown around in casual conversation, but when delving deeper into the psychology behind narcissistic behavior, especially regarding intimate relationships, we uncover a complex web of motivations and fears. While it may seem counterintuitive, many narcissists tend to avoid sexual intimacy. This avoidance can be puzzling to partners who may crave connection and intimacy, leaving them feeling rejected, confused, and even inadequate. To understand this behavior, we must explore the intricacies of narcissism, control, and the underlying fears that drive these individuals away from sexual encounters. At its core, narcissism is characterized by a grandiose sense of self-importance, a constant need for admiration, and a lack of empathy for others. Narcissists often see the world through a lens of self-interest, where their needs and desires take precedence over those of anyone else. This self-centeredness manifests in many ways, including in the bedroom. For narcissists, sexual intimacy is not merely a physical act. It is deeply intertwined with their self-image, power dynamics, and control. When discussing sexual avoidance in narcissists, one must consider the significant emotional components involved. For narcissists, vulnerability is often perceived as a weakness. Engaging in sexual intimacy requires a level of openness and emotional exposure that can be profoundly threatening to someone who has built their identity around control and invulnerability. They may view sex not just as an act of connection but as a potential risk, one that could expose them to emotional hurt or diminish their carefully curated image of superiority. Furthermore, sexual intimacy necessitates a degree of emotional connection and empathy that narcissists typically lack. The act of sex is inherently personal. It involves not just physical bodies but also emotional exchanges. For narcissists who often struggle with empathy, this can create a barrier to intimacy. They may engage in sexual acts but often do so with a focus on their gratification, rather than a shared experience with their partner. This self-centered approach can lead to feelings of disconnection and avoidance of the act altogether. Another significant factor is the narcissistic need for control. Narcissists often thrive in environments where they can dictate the terms of engagement, and sex can present challenges to this desire for control. Engaging in sexual activity requires a surrendering of sorts, a willingness to let go and connect with another person on an intimate level. For a narcissist, this can be terrifying. The fear of losing control can lead to avoidance, as they may choose to manipulate situations to maintain their dominance instead. Moreover, narcissists often struggle with issues related to self-esteem. While they may present a confident facade, underneath lies a fragile self-esteem that is easily shaken. Engaging in sexual intimacy can expose them to criticism or rejection, triggering deep-seated fears of inadequacy. To protect their ego, they may choose to avoid sexual encounters altogether, preferring instead to maintain an image of desirability without the risks that come with actual intimacy. This avoidance can manifest in various ways, from emotional withdrawal to outright refusal of sexual engagement. The dynamics of power play a significant role in why narcissists may shy away from sex. For many narcissists, relationships are less about partnership and more about dominance. They often seek relationships that bolster their self-image and provide them with the admiration they crave. However, sex complicates this dynamic. It requires a level of equality and mutual respect that narcissists often struggle to maintain. The potential for vulnerability and emotional interdependence that sex brings can disrupt their carefully controlled narrative, leading them to retreat from intimate encounters. In romantic relationships, this avoidance can create a cycle of dysfunction. Partners of narcissists may initially feel excited by the relationship, drawn in by the charm and charisma that often accompany narcissistic behavior. However, the lack of sexual intimacy can lead to feelings of frustration and rejection. Over time, this can foster resentment, and partners may feel compelled to seek validation outside the relationship. The narcissist, sensing this shift, may react with anger or manipulation, further perpetuating the cycle of control and withdrawal. Interestingly, when narcissists do engage in sexual activity, it is often devoid of emotional connection. They may view sex as a means to an end, an avenue for validation rather than a shared experience. This transactional approach to intimacy can leave partners feeling used and unfulfilled. The thrill of the chase can become an addiction for narcissists, but once they achieve their goal, they may lose interest, leading to further avoidance of future sexual encounters. The emotional aftermath of these encounters can be devastating for partners. They may feel as though they are constantly vying for attention and affection, only to be met with indifference. This pattern can leave partners questioning their worth and desirability, further entrenching the narcissist's control over them. The imbalance in emotional investment can create an unhealthy dynamic, where the narcissist maintains their position of power, while the partner feels increasingly isolated and alone. Narcissists may also exhibit avoidance behaviors stemming from their fears about aging and loss of desirability. As they grow older, their societal image of attractiveness may diminish, leading to increased anxiety about their sexual appeal. This fear can push them further away from sexual intimacy, as they grapple with the prospect of rejection or inadequacy. In a culture that often equates desirability with youth, narcissists may struggle to reconcile their aging bodies with their self-image, leading to a withdrawal from intimate relationships. Another compelling aspect of this dynamic is the narcissist's fascination with idealized versions of relationships and sexuality. Many narcissists have a tendency to romanticize relationships, creating a distorted narrative of what intimacy should be. This idealization can set unrealistic standards, leading to dissatisfaction with actual partners and experiences. The gap between fantasy and reality can be daunting, pushing narcissists to avoid real connections in favor of imagined ones, where they can control every aspect of the encounter. Moreover, the rise of social media and digital interactions has changed the landscape of relationships and intimacy. Narcissists may find solace in the virtual world, where they can curate their image and control how they are perceived without the risks associated with real-world intimacy. This can further contribute to their avoidance of physical intimacy, as they become increasingly reliant on external validation through likes and comments, rather than genuine emotional connections. As partners navigate the complexities of intimacy with narcissists, it is essential to understand that the avoidance of sex is not a reflection of their worth. Rather, it is a manifestation of the narcissist's internal struggles and fears. Partners often find themselves on an emotional roller coaster, experiencing moments of closeness followed by sudden withdrawal. Recognizing the patterns and motivations behind these behaviors can be crucial in managing expectations and seeking healthier dynamics in relationships. Therapy and counseling can play a significant role in helping both narcissists and their partners navigate these challenges. For narcissists, understanding the roots of their behaviors can lead to greater self-awareness and potentially change. For partners, finding support and validation can be essential in coping with the emotional fallout of living with a narcissist. Building boundaries and fostering healthy communication can help create a more balanced dynamic, allowing for emotional growth and connection. In conclusion, the avoidance of sex by narcissists is a multifaceted issue rooted in fears of vulnerability, control, and self-image. It highlights the complexities of intimacy in relationships where one partner struggles with narcissistic traits. For those involved with narcissists, recognizing these patterns can be empowering, allowing them to make informed decisions about their emotional well-being. While the journey may be challenging, understanding the shocking truth behind narcissism and sexual avoidance can pave the way for healthier relationships, whether with themselves or with others.